Interesting news out of Marvel. Now, a lot of you might be unaware of this particular Marvel star, but they were on the up and coming side. Jonathan Majors, who was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, played Kang. We was Kangs, as apparently he has now been fired from Marvel as after being found guilty. Now, one thing I think is pretty interesting. There were several claims made about this Marvel actor putting his hands on his girlfriend. Video footage revealed that they both appeared to be insane, not dissimilar from perhaps the Johnny Depp scenario. I took a lot of flack from Depp fans, and I understand you have every right to voice your opinion to me and about my opinions. I've always said, hey, Johnny Depp was probably no saint either. I've seen toxic relationships because I'm not 12 years old, and this appears to be another one of those. However, Jonathan Majors had made several admissions via text message during this trial, which essentially alluded to him apologizing for putting his hands on her, asking her like a child to not go to the hospital because people would ask questions. I think that's a pretty much an admission of guilt. A lot of people never even heard of this guy. Well, he was set to play in many of the upcoming Marvel movies. Jonathan Majors has been found guilty of 2 counts of harassment and assault against his ex-girlfriend, while being acquitted on 2 other counts, but the actor has hit back saying he still looks forward to clearing his name. Look, there is no clearing his name. Generally, you don't send a text message to somebody begging them to not go to the hospital after you hit them. That's pretty much a 100% admission that you did it. I do think it was interesting that they gave him, though, Johnny Depp. I don't want to go racial, okay, but I'll just say this. Johnny Depp was fired simply because of the allegation. All Amber Heard had to do was make a wild, anonymous allegation on Twitter, and he got fired. Jonathan Majors, not white, got to have the decision made by Disney after the trial in which he was found guilty. He was given the benefit of the doubt. He was given his day in court before they fired him. British dancer Gracie Jabari, 30, said she suffered excruciating pain when the Marvel movie star struck her on the head and broke her finger in the back of an SUV after she saw a flirty text message from another woman on his phone. Jabari's lawyer, Brittany Henderson, said jurors had delivered justice by convicting him on Monday, and said her client hoped the case would inspire other quote-unquote survivors to speak out. Okay, I have a huge problem using that terminology. You didn't survive it. You were free to leave that relationship at any time, okay? You survive a plane crash. You survive cancer. You survive a car wreck. You survive a bear attack, okay? You don't survive getting in some drunken argument with your rich boyfriend over some whore, okay? Sorry, is that too rough? Is that too, or some homewrecker, I should say. You didn't survive that, all right? Survival implies the chance of not surviving. You guys are all, I want to thank you all for surviving this video. Leave a like on this video if you survived it. That way I'll know you survived. Now, for Majors, the convictions spell up to a year behind bars. He won't do a single day in prison. I'll just say that, okay? Along with the ruin of his Hollywood career, which is why this trial really happened, he was about to be tipped for an Oscar in his role in an unreleased movie, Magazine Dreams. Centering around a troubled bodybuilder, the film was put on hold by Disney in light of the allegations. The entertainment giant must now decide whether to stand by Majors or completely cancel the movie. Well, we know for a fact that they're going to cancel the movie. And we also know that if he was white, they would have canceled a long time ago. Now, in my opinion, This is a toxic relationship. Um, I think that they probably both, there was one video security footage that was released where Jonathan Majors literally ran down the street at his full speed, running away from her, and she was chasing him nonstop. Like, she chased him down, and like, I don't know, what transpired, but I mean, it wasn't exactly a brutal incident. He was probably trying to get away from this. So from everything I'm hearing, unofficially, months ago, I guess according to Midnight's Edge, who always has a lot of insider information, he was fired months ago, which I 100% believe. There is no way, even with the trial, that they were putting this movie out. Again, he was also, he graduated from Yale with an acting master's and rose to fame starting in 2019. He went on to perform in Lovecraft Country, which was absolute garbage. Received a Primetime Emmy Award nomination before starring as supervillain King the Conqueror in the Marvel Universe and Dame Anderson in Creed 3 this year. This gentleman's star was rising immensely, and he could not keep his hands off his girlfriend. It's like, he survived Yale, but he did not survive dating a crazy white woman. Now, do I think that she deserved any of this stuff? No, of course. The text messages outside of the so this confrontation they have where he's basically trying to push her into this Uber and say, like, get out of here, leave. That looks like two people having being toxic. The text messages, however, were far more troubling, where he begged like a little child for her to not go to the hospital because essentially he would be implicated. She kept saying, my head hurts, I'm having head problems. And he's like, please don't go to the hospital. People will ask questions, blah, 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 blah. And, he wrote back, please don't go. I don't want to, I don't want people to answer questions. I mean, look at, she survived a broken finger, a bruised finger. Why are there not statues dedicated to this woman? She barely survived a bruised finger. Now, they had some sort of spat. They keep showing this picture. I don't really know what it is. There's maybe a little bruise. I mean, her finger is probably broken here, is what her finger is, very bruised. That looks like a broken finger. Okay, I've survived about 7 of them in my life. Where's my statue? But, that does not look good. Cut behind the ear. That looks like it's probably from her earring getting pushed up there. But again, this little spat they had, I'm less inclined to care about, but the text messages after were pretty much an admission of guilt. It was pretty bad, where he's like begging her, don't go to the hospital. He says, after their fights, Majors would threaten to end himself, which is super manipulative. And he would say that he had to put actions into place to already do so. He also said, I'm a great man. I do great things for me, but my culture. He said he needed a woman that supports me, a great woman who would make sense. He's like a psychopath. Once you see all the text messages and you see how delusional he is, you lose a lot of respect, you lose a lot of like that benefit of the doubt. Describing the dynamic of the relationship, she said it was confusing because I felt scared of him but depended on him. I promised him I would never tell anyone what went on. Now, I guess you can make the argument that there's always a first time for everything to happen. But in general, I mean, if you're caught on camera pushing a woman around, or if a woman is, pushing a man around, it's probably not the first time that's happened. Like when you get the divorced couple who finally just doesn't give a frick anymore and starts arguing in front of their friends, it's really uncomfortable. Or like when you have a parents that finally just stop hiding behind, moving their arguments outside. so they argue in front of their kids. It's not the first time they've argued. It's not the first time, you know, any of this has happened. He said he was trying to pry my phone out of my hands. When that wasn't successful, he put his arm behind my back, putting her behind her back. He said that Majors began peeling her fingers off the phone and was twisting her arm. He said, trying to make me feel pain. Next, I felt a really hard blow across my head, making a swiping motion. I mean, she tried to fend Majors off. The car stopped, and they both got out. I believe that happened. You know? I believe we've seen the security cam footage. We've seen all this kind of stuff. You know, again, volatile relationship. Did she egg him on? Maybe. But a man's got to know better. A man's got to know better. You can't put your hands on a woman. You can't be putting your hands on, you know, especially when you're talking about, you know, you can't hide behind the race card then. Now, this woman covered for him for a very long time, but I don't, you know, it doesn't look good. And then Marvel dropped Jonathan Majors after he's found guilty of harassing and putting his hands on his ex-girlfriend. There's obviously enough for this to go to trial, criminal trial, right? And this is somebody that the video is not great. The altercation is not great. He definitely put his hands on her. Was it a single momentary lapse? I doubt it. Here's the security cam footage. He lifts her up and throws her in the car. If you're watching, and you can see he's literally trying to get away from her at one point. This is why I say, like, a lot of this is like two psychos getting together. He's pushing her off him. She keeps chasing him down the street. All this kind of stuff. Like, if you watch, they get out of the car because they had clearly been fighting in the car. He lifts her off the ground, pushes her back in the car. Okay. Now, I don't know if she was attacking him in the car or whatever the case is. You know, and then he's got his arm around her here. I mean, they're tussling. Then they go to another camera, and he tries to grab something and run away. Maybe it's the cell phone. The driver here, they left the door open. I mean, the situation does not look good, and he does look like he was putting his hands on her. And then the part later where he's literally running away from her and she's chasing him down the street. Who even knows what in the heck was going on? I mean, I've definitely dealt with people in my life who say stupid, manipulative things like, oh, I'm going to end myself and this, that, and the other thing. Maybe he said something like that. Why is he running from her? I don't know. If you know, why is she chasing him? The whole thing is really, like, fishy. I don't know why she continued to chase him. Two things can be true. He could have also, you know, hit her. He could have hit her. And she could still also, like, love him and understand that, you know, that he's her meal ticket. You just can't, you know, you can't do it. Can't put your hands on somebody, period. And now this man who had a budding Hollywood career, was about to star in like 4 different movies, lost it all. And, you know, you just can't date. I don't know. This is a little more muddy, I think, than Johnny and Amber, because this is all on videotape, and he definitely put his hands on her. So, idiot, stupid decision, moronic, threw his whole career away. He's probably not going to prison, but what an unimaginable idiot. Hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, though.